Hello and welcome to the Connected Community Podcast. Today, my guest is Alexandre Tsuk, and we talk about cold plunge therapy and breath work. I love this combination, and Alex is an absolute expert in this because he's the founder of the BreathingCold Experience. Everything that he teaches is about breath work. Breath work is the foundation, added in with the cold plunge exposure and then community. What I love about Alex in this podcast is he has an out of the box thinking process around breath work and cold plunge exposure. And I think you're going to love it. I really, really love what he has to say. And I'll give you like a little hint. One of the things that he does is he gets in the cold plunge and then he intentionally shakes his body out, screams, uses his voice as a way to release trauma, as a way to release things that no longer serve you. And then after that, you get cold and you get meditative and you tap in and you connect with yourself more deeply. I love this podcast. I know you will too. I want to thank you so much for being here. And if you're enjoying them, please take a moment to give us a like, a share, and a subscribe. And I'm going to hop on in with Alex. I hope you'll enjoy. Hello, and welcome to the Connected Community Podcast, a place to explore possibility through mindfulness, movement, and self-discovery. Our intention is to deliver insight and inspiration while fostering conversations that are genuine, unfiltered, and deeply human. We hope you will enjoy today's episode. Hey, Alex, good morning, and welcome to the Connected Community Podcast.
Good morning. Very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it is morning there and it is evening here. I don't usually record this late, but you are in Bali, so we're happy to have you tuning in from Bali.
Yeah, I need to prove that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna make us all jealous because the scenery is so amazing. Yes.
Sorry.
Much better than my backyard. um, I'm excited to talk to you today. I've actually been wanting to talk about this for a while, and I've done a similar podcast, but we're going to dive deep. So we're going to talk about cold plunge mixed in with breath work. And so you are the founder of the Breathing Cold Experience. And we are going to talk about ice baths and the benefits, and we're just going to deep dive into this topic. But before we begin, when and how did you get excited about this topic?
You know, I called all those modalities forced mindfulness practices. Truth is, I never ever thought I would be doing something like that. I'm the guy who doubts these things, who's not spiritual, who was completely in the matrix, and I never seen me even not living in the heart of Paris, not being in the suburb, forget about it. So now living in Ubud, not wearing shoes and having a hippie life, it's the last thing I would have thought. And really, if someone like me with 40 years of being completely unconscious can live the life that he lives right now with no pain in my body, and I had 40 years of pain in multiple places in my body, diseases, no connection to joy, no connection to pleasure. I mean, I can go on. I had never pleasured a woman in 40 years. I had so much insecurities. If something like that happened to me, then everybody can do it. So it's very much my message is like, I'm no superhero. I'm your average Joe. And these tools really, really work. And they work if you practice them. It doesn't require for you to years of mastery. It's not like meditation or yoga. What I love about those modalities is that they are straightforward and they work for everybody every time. And I love that. I love the simplicity of those tools. Yeah.
So if I were going to hop in an ice bath and I just did it tonight, would I be sold on the experience or do I need to do it multiple times before I kind of like, okay, Alex, let's do this?
Well, I would do it in the morning, first of all,
Yeah.
rather
Oh,
than
that's
the
right.
evening. It's about regulation of your sleep hormones and what ice bath does to that. But I would say, yes, you would be hooked right away. you'd be hooked right away. But you wouldn't need an ice bath. You could do a cold bath. I think a lot of the ice baths uh, excitement is around seeing ice cubes and all, but you actually don't need the ice. You can, and especially for women, you can go for a cold bath to get the same effect as a man would go into an ice bath. So yeah, you would definitely feel it. You would definitely get hooked right away. You would have this production of happy hormones that would flush in through your body. You will get a sense of peace. You know, it's one of the few modalities that activates both your sympathetic and your parasympathetic branch of your nervous system. So you get super aroused and switched on, and then right after you have a sense of inner peace that you can barely get with any other modality, and
Mhm.
that's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm actually really excited to talk to you about this because we have a sauna and a cold plunge, and we keep the cold plunge at, I want to say 48 degrees, which I think is somewhere like around 9 degrees Celsius. But after listening to your training, I don't know if I'm doing things right. And so I let's just start with the difference between men and women, because I think I had assumed that we all work equally in that way. And then after listening to you, I'm kind of excited that women don't need to go as cold.
Okay, so here is because I read all the papers, the scientific papers, and the truth is they are quite flaky. There are not really any funding behind those studies because there is no financial interest from pharmaceutical industry. So if you look at the audience that are being used for the studies, for now, I wouldn't say that there is a definite study that really satisfies me as a facilitator. But what I can tell you from my experience, I facilitated more than 7,000 people in the last 10 years, and there is nothing stronger than the placebo effect.
Hmm.
So what I always say is forget the science, forget the studies about everything, have an experience and decide for yourself what it is that works or doesn't work. Don't rely on some kind of authority that is the definite expert on the topic and then that's it because of their credential, because they wear a white jacket or because they wrote a book. All of a
Hmm.
sudden we need to believe them because we've seen that over and over being someone's coming up with something and then it gets overwritten a few years later with a new study. So what we know is that cold exposure can impact the hormonal system quite a bit and it has been seen to disrupt the woman's cycles. So that's the main reasons why you want to be a bit cautious when it comes to the ice. But I have so many of my female friends who are doing ice baths and they love it and they have zero problem. So it's not so much about the cold or not, it's about the dysregulation of the nervous system. And everyone's different when it comes to their relation to their nervous system. So someone who will have experience, they would have absolutely no problem and they would absolutely love it. The cold will reduce PMS, so the pain before the period. And so that's the ultimate answer. Now, uh, women are less sensitive to pain than men. And, often women make jokes about a man's flu and how men are way more sensitive. It's true because you are designed for labor, you're designed to make babies. So you're programmed to endure pain more than men. So that's one thing to take into account. But also, if you're married, you probably have had the experience when you're going to a hotel and you fight with your partner on the AC control. It says, no, I don't want this temperature, I want this temperature. Just to point out that there is a fundamental difference in the receptors and cold receptors between men and women. And usually, women are more sensitive to the cold than men. It's just the physiology. The same way, skinny people will have less body fat to protect them from the cold. So that's also to take into account. Age is to take into account. And also, like children are more sensitive to the cold than adults. Older people are more sensitive. So there's all those factors that come into play. What I always say is like you don't need to impress anybody. Just do it for yourself and register what works for you. Don't listen to anyone. Get in there and see how does it feel. I personally love a 15 degrees Celsius cold bath or 12 because I can stay forever. Yeah, I can stay for a very long time. But what happens is when I get into a cold bath, I'm forced into presence. I have this activation of the nervous system that says, well, you're not safe, you're in danger. And that forces me into present moment awareness. And that shuts down the noise in my head. I don't have stories about my future and my past anymore. That's why I call it forced mindfulness. Now
Yeah.
imagine for someone like me who's got ADHD, who's running around like a maniac, and all of a sudden I go in the ice and I do that for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and I've got 20 minutes of presence.
Mm.
That is more beneficial to me than a 0-degree bath, where maybe I would have a bigger spike of adrenaline, adrenaline, and endorphin, and noradrenaline, and norepinephrine. Yes, and I'm getting so much more benefit from a focus and a relaxation perspective. So there are some days I have 3 ice baths here. There's some days I want to go to my 0-degree one because, and that's a really cool trick, I use ice baths as a way to release a suppressed emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like everyone. There are some emotions that I welcome and others that I don't want to feel. But
Mm-hmm.
now I have developed, and we can all do that, just the ability to observe myself says, oh, you're suppressing right now. You just don't want to feel the anger because, I don't know, I give you an example. I prepare a meal for my 15-year-old daughter. All day I prepare her favorite meal. She comes home, she has a helmet on, she doesn't want to talk to me, she goes straight to her room. I want to grab the girl and throw her through the window, right? But she's an adolescent, blah, blah, blah. Everybody will have explanation. But still, I feel really, really triggered.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that. I feel that I want to direct my anger towards her. Of course, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to breathe into it. I open my chest freezer. I get it and I release like crazy.
Mm-hmm. I
I
heard your
scream.
scream. Yeah.
I scream. And you know what? Then I downregulate. And from a place of no longer being triggered, I can observe myself. And I leave my daughter alone and I reflect, okay, what part of me is being triggered there? Yes, of course, there is a rational thinking. You did something, she didn't honor it, it's her fault. Okay, we can go there.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something about me that is overreacting. So it's personal. So now let's go into that. And I can see the part of me that wants validation that is being triggered. That is so much, etc., etc. So you see what I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about.
Yeah.
So it gives me a tool to distance myself from my emotions and be able to observe them,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is fantastic. So in terms of consciousness and mindfulness, it's an incredible tool.
Yeah.
But also I get out of my triggers right away. I don't sit with it for 3 days with resentment and develop pain in my back and on and on, and I cannot sleep at night. No, I get in, I release it, and then it's gone, and I can have a nice evening with my son who still wants to talk to me, and
Yeah.
and it's all good. And
Yeah.
the next day we have a conversation. She maybe had a date with someone on the phone and she's focused on something else, has nothing to do with me. It's just that she's doing her own thing. So, I don't have to take it personal. So
Yeah.
the eyes for me is just a beautiful teacher in so many aspects of my life, really.
Yeah. I think it helped me to hear that even though you've been doing this for over a decade, you still get in the ice bath and you scream. So it almost gives me the permission to because when I get into the cold plunge and we have it, we can adjust the temperature. I always it takes my breath away. And I almost gasp every time. And then when I do it more often, I do that less. But if I haven't been in it a while, I just huge gas and I scream. My family can hear me upstairs. So it's nice to know that you do that too. And as a tool and as a method, like a pressure release valve to release those things that don't serve you.
So actually, here is the secret. And I'm going to say that in a very French arrogant way. I really believe that a lot of people do the ice bath the wrong way, because basically what we've seen online is the Wim Hof way,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like basically control yourself. And like you have the no blinking challenge. You get in the ice and you don't feel anything and you control your breath right away. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be rude, but F that. For me, I don't think I have a problem I don't need more control in my life. What I have for myself, and I know that it's the case for everyone that comes in my workshop, they have a problem with having too much control in their life. What they need is to release, to surrender, to feel safe, to trust, to let go of control. So I consciously release in the ice. So no matter how often I do it, I get out of the way as soon as I get in the ice. And it's funny, I do another thing. Almost right away when I get in the ice, shivers come. It's the natural autonomous way of the body to heat itself. And I let it come. So I'm going to be shivering almost right away. What it does is I'm getting an incredible release of all the fascia system, all my tensions are being released. But every time I'm in a public ice bath, it's always the same. I arrive, I get in the ice, I scream, and then I start shivering. And the reaction of people around me is always the same, is they come and they give me advice. Like for them, there's something wrong with me. They want to help me because I feel I'm not
Uh-huh.
okay, like it's just so much ingrained in us that being okay is repressing your emotions, is being in control. That's how you should behave. That when
Yeah.
someone is getting out of the way and is letting the ice take him into a beautiful 10 minutes full shivering process and a release of, they think there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I get that everywhere in the world. I almost do it as a social experiment to see how suppressed people are around the world. And there's no surprise because who's our hero as a boys? It's Superman. And the guy is go out and save the world, and he comes back and he lies to his wife, and he doesn't feel anything. And we have this guy who doesn't feel anything, and that's our model. This is how we raise our kids. So
Mm-hmm.
no surprise we are disconnected from our emotional bodies. But
Yeah.
know that if you are suppressing anger and resentment and grief and sadness, you're also repressing joy and pleasure and love. So for me now, it's about reconnecting to my inner child all the time. And when emotions come, I let them come and they pass through me. And I don't have any physical pain after that. It's
Mm.
it's it's literally, yeah, it's really
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. I'd love for you to talk about the shivering because my experience when I go in after I gasp and yelp and have a maybe scream, then I can tap into my breath and get calm and get it more still. I like to be still and not move because when I move, I break that like warm bubble and I time it, which I think if I didn't time it, I could probably stay in twice as long. But I'm sitting there watching it, trying to, for me, it's like 3 to 5 minutes. I'm like, can't do it. But then when I start shivering is when I really get out. It's I'm having trouble sitting with the shivering. I don't like it, and then that's when I want to leave.
So much to talk about. So let's start with what you said, and then please bring me back to talk about the other things you mentioned about timing, about
Mhm.
temperature.
Yeah.
But let's start with the shivering.
Mhm.
The difference between your description and my description is I'm consciously shivering,
Okay.
and
Okay.
you are your body is getting the signal. But for me, I'm kind of leaning into the shivers.
Okay.
So the difference is you want to be shivery, but not shivering. Because what is shivering? Shivering is a safety mechanism that says you're going towards hypothermia. And if you are going towards hypothermia, you're not safe anymore because then you go into a coma. So your reaction to get out when you're shivering and you cannot stop it
Okay.
is the right one because
Okay, good.
you're getting the signal from the body
Mhm.
you're not okay. So this
Mhm.
is wise and safe to absolutely do that. But what I'm doing is I'm staying shivery. It means I know that if I were to control my breath, if I were to switch from mouth to nose breathing, I would be able to stop the shivers. Yeah. So I'm in control. So I'm consciously, so I go in there and instead of down regulating through my nose, I allow my jaw to be relaxed, to make sounds on the exhale. And I kind of initiate the shivers. I let
Okay.
them come, and because what I want is I don't want lower back pain. I want to clear my pain in my shoulders, and I want to be dancing without feeling any resistance. So that's why I do it. So all of a sudden, I want the fascia, and I want like, but it's like an animal after a fight. You have a dog after playing with a dog. He's going to go on the side and he's going to have a shake. So it's exactly that. It's the release of the
Yeah.
tensions. I believe that if people were consciously shaking after going through any kind of small t or big T trauma, they
Yeah.
wouldn't be traumatized.
Yeah,
What we're
totally.
missing as humans is, instead of releasing whatever is happening, we just suppress it. So we go through something traumatic and we want to forget about it. And that's the mistake of humans. Animals, they go through something traumatic, they release it, near death experience, they release it, and then they go on with their day. So we need to copy them. We need to get inspired by animals and practice releasing tensions when they are coming in. So for me, very much every time I'm receiving a trigger, I feel, oh my God, I'm not okay. Let's deal with that. I don't go to the source. I don't go to in my head to try to figure out how to solve the problem. No, I feel there is something that is now being stuck in my body. Let's focus on the body first. Let's have the release in the body. And then from a place of being calm and connected, I can go to address the root cause of the problem and then respond to whatever is going
Hmm.
on. Now,
Yeah.
I
That's a
love
somatic release. You're somatically releasing all the stuff that doesn't serve you
we do it
intentionally.
unconsciously. We go to
Yeah.
the club and we go to rave parties and we run, and everybody around the world, more people are stressed and everybody's running. Like, can we see the connection? Like
Yeah.
this idea of, we know that we need to go through the body, but we don't know how to do it consciously. So we do it through, sex and group workouts and things like that. But if you do it consciously, whenever you feel the tension, you can have a way easier process. Now,
Hmm.
I recommend to not time ice baths,
Yeah,
and I
figured.
recommend to not measure the temperature either,
Uh,
because those are very masculine practices. That's
mhm,
very much control again,
mhm,
and goal oriented. And the
mhm.
more I'm into those modalities, the more I'm into my feminine, which is flowy, which is
Yeah.
allowing. I want presence. I don't want to be focused on an outcome. So I remove all of it. I don't have a Oura ring. I don't measure my heart rate
Uh-huh.
and my steps. And I've stopped all that to fully connect and listen to the intelligence of my body and do the things that my body is calling, rather than what is said by a podcast, or
Mhm.
by some kind of a doctor or influencer. Now, how
But
when
ours has a thermometer on it that needs to be set in order to keep it. That's kinda
great,
how it works.
but mine
Maybe I
too.
won't
But
look
don't
at
look
it.
at
I'll
it.
just
Don't look at
don't look
it.
at it. Maybe
So,
push some buttons up and down and blindfold myself.
but here is what you can look at. You can look at doors that you break, and I love doing that. Like, for instance, I don't do ice baths more than 2 or 3 times a week.
Mhm.
Why? Because you mentioned it, I don't want it to be easy. I want it to remain a challenge. If I do it every day, like everything, it becomes easy. So I don't want that. I want it to remain a edge. So I open the freezer, and if it's very cold, I feel a huge resistance. There's no one there. There's no social media. I can just bail out. No one's going to know about it. So I feel the first wall and I get in. And then immediately within seconds, my whole body says, get out of here. And I stay. I break a second wall. See, every time I feel the urge to run away, I can just see, okay, there is a wall in front of me. Let's pass that wall. And now I can set, okay, let's observe how many walls I'm breaking today. And
Mhm.
it's super interesting because now I'm competing with myself. Some
Yeah.
days I break one wall and I'm out and I cannot do it. But it gives me an insight on how's my immune system. My
Yeah.
immune system is not great, so this is not the time for it. Other times I feel strong and I can push through and stay longer. In general, I recommend to stay until you don't need to go. So if you want to get out, you stay. And when you have reached the pace where your nervous system is regulated, you're calm and connected and relaxed, then you get out. I
Or
recommend the
shivering.
same in relationship, right?
Yes. But when you're shivering, get out.
You want to be able to get out of you don't want to, you want to be able to navigate that and get out of it. Because something very important for safety, within 2-3 minutes after getting out of the ice bath, your temperature drops at least 1 degree. It's called the after drop. It is an exchange of warm and cold blood when you are getting into the ice bath with a vasoconstriction. So the blood from your extremities is going to protect your core, so your body temperature is maintained. Uh, in comparison to the hands and feet. That's why hands and feet hurt more than the core. And that's why you can go skiing with a t-shirt, but you cannot not have gloves. But then you come out and then you have this cold blood that is now going to your core. So the hands and feet are fine, but you're going to shiver even more. So it's important to do these practices very safely. You don't want to do it alone. If you're in nature, you want to have someone with you. If you're doing inside, you need to have, a way to warm up progressively. You don't want to warm up too fast. So I actually, one of the main risks is when people go from a long ice bath to a sauna.
Okay, talk about that because that's what I do. Although I don't do a long ice bath. I do a really short ice bath and then I go bake in the sauna.
Yeah, so that's what the Russians would do, and it's but what I recommend is to not use the ice or use the heat to change your state, but to let your body produce the metabolism, let the body do the workout of heating up by itself or cooling down by itself. You're really missing out on this production of metabolism when you're doing a short circuit by cheating, going
Mm,
into the
yeah.
into the heat. So do it for me. It's about doing it in presence and mindful. But here is what happens when you go into the ice. You have something called vasoconstriction. Yeah, so the nerves, the vein, the arteries narrow in order to send the blood to your core. Yeah, you come out, you have vasodilatation. That's why people are pink when they come out of an ice bath, and all of a sudden the arteries open. But if you have arteries that are like that, you go into a sauna, poof. Now all of a sudden you're going to have a way more vasodilatation, and the cold that is at the level of the skin is going to enter now to your bones. So actually, people can have a really, really strong hypothermia inside a sauna. Happened to me
Oh.
twice. I needed to learn it again, to experience it again. And the twice I was not feeling safe at all in my body, I was in a sauna and feeling I need to heat up, I need to heat up. So it's very important to stay focused when you come out, to think I'm not done after the ice bath. It's still on, and to warm up progressively and slowly. And if you do that, this is how you're going to be safe. But the other thing on safety, you want to titrate. You want to go progressively. So you want to do a 15 degrees Celsius for 1 minute and see how you feel. Okay, I got this. It was fine. And don't, this potentially is dangerous. So you really want to go slowly, progressively, listen to your body, see how it feels. If you're in nature, don't do it alone. Always have someone for safety with you who can put the clothes back on, who can take you out of the cold. Common sense information. But yeah, that's
Well,
my
okay,
opinion.
you talked about this too in your training about how, say you do the cold plunge, your body naturally warms up, then you go in the sauna for 20 minutes. You were saying don't jump from the sauna straight into the cold plunge, to stay out of the sauna for a while before jumping in. So I'd love for you to talk about that.
Okay, I one of my teachers is Dr. Mark Cohen. He's an incredible doctor in Australia. I'll highly recommend you also interview him on all that. He's amazing, and I love this idea that when you have lost your passport, you don't know where is your passport, your wallet, and you are really stressed because you got this flight coming, and you find your passport. You have this rush of happiness, of joy that comes because you found, or you have a big deadline and you pass and it's over, and all of a sudden you're ecstatic because the deadline is over. So when you stress the system, you prepare it to experience euphoria. Dysphoria leads to euphoria. We need to experience stress to experience the rebound of joy. Most people, they do a big mistake when they do in the sauna, or when they do a workout, or when they do a yoga class. They put on their clothes and they go back to their life. They pretend to do shavasana in yoga, but that's not really, they're doing their to-do list. They are missing out on happiness hormones. So if you want to be happy in life, the hack is to really use the same amount of time. It's a lot. The same amount of time you had in the sauna, you need to spend it laying down in a chair when you come out of it. And if you go to a fancy spa, you have those rooms now with just a lounge chair for a reason. and no one's using those rooms.
Yeah,
Everyone
right.
is in the sauna. That's a mistake. And the science is there. So if you go do, and you can do it for any kind, you go to the gym, you have an hour workout, lay down, and relax for 20 minutes. Have a beautiful rest. You do that, you literally produce serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. You will feel happier. So, what's happening when we are taking drugs? They are just suppressing of some hormones or production of other hormones. We have this inner pharmacy. If we know how to tap into it, it's amazing. So sauna is one of the best health practices, but do not miss out. So the best protocol is shower, because water conducts heat more than air. So you want to shower before you go into the sauna. Yeah. So shower. I actually like to go to the ice first because you don't want to cheat. So do it. It's way harder. So go into the ice. You don't need too long. You just want to warm up by itself. Then you go into the sauna. The sauna, you know if it's hot enough because you cannot talk. If you can talk, it's not hot enough. That's a good measure of how hot it is. And again, in the sauna, you want to decide when you come out, not, oh my God, it's too much, I get out. So there is some kind of empowerment that can come from, okay, this is getting hard now. I can breathe through it, through my nose. I can slow it down, and I decide when I come out. I don't recommend to wear the hats that the Russians recommend, because this is basically suppressing your heat sensors. We have thermosensors, which are the palm of the hands, the forehead, and the palm of our feet. And
Hmm.
that's where we control the body temperature. That's why in the old days, when they didn't have central heating, people were going to bed with a hat to cover that
Yeah.
part.
Huh.
So that it's a bit dangerous when you go into a sauna, because basically you're switching off the thermal sensor. So yes, you can stay longer, but maybe longer it's too long. And
Hmm.
actually, sauna is way more dangerous, and there are way more accidents in sauna than in ice baths. People are
Hmm.
focused on ice bath safety. All the accidents that I hear, they're always around sauna and overheating. It's a little bit
Hmm.
like, you put a frog in hot water, they jump out, but you put a frog in cold water and you heat it up and it's gonna die. And most people, they don't have the ability, their sensors are not on enough to know when it's too much. So it needs to be, safety is very important when it comes to sauna practice. Also, there is a lot of ego, and ego is always what you want to look at. So if you have two people, come on, let's stay longer, we can do that. This is dangerous. So for me, ego is the enemy for those practices. And when I see ego, I name it and we reject it. Whenever it comes to ice baths or any kind of modality, ego is the enemy.
Hmm.
So what I recommend: ice bath, sauna, rest, repeat. So you can do 2-3 rounds like that.
Okay, so ice bath, come out, let your body naturally heat up, then sauna, then say sauna 10 minutes, then you come out, sauna 10 minutes, let your body cool, then go back in the ice bath. That's what you're saying is the proper way to do contrast therapy.
I mean, I've stopped saying that this is right and this is wrong
Yes.
anymore. If you
Yeah.
do what you do, you're getting a better vascular massage. So
Hmm.
cardiovascular, if you want to get this vasoconstriction, dilatation, for sure, this contrast therapy going in and out is going to
Hmm.
do the trick. So it's a trade-off. It's not like it's better, it's different. And what I recommend people to do is to try things and do things differently and see how it feels. Not
Yeah.
so much telling you the way anymore, but just, yeah,
Hmm.
experience it.
Okay. I have a question. My hands get so cold. I can deal with my feet most days. But I've found that I can stay in the cold plunge way longer when my hands are out. And so I kind of do this get in, I keep them out, and then I'll put them in for a minute, and then I'll pull them out for a minute. I'm wondering if I know we're kind of like whatever's best for your body at that moment, but I'm going to ask a what's best question. Is it best to stay in longer for my body and all the benefits with my hands out, where I can stay in longer? Or if I have to cut that time in half by putting my hands in, is that um, better? Or are we trying to break those walls and break those barriers?
You have to be careful with the hands. They have the smallest nerves in the body, And if you are not careful, then it might take a while for the sensitivity to come back to the fingers. So I definitely recommend hands out because we want to keep everything fun and safe. There is no study that says that you get more benefit with hands in versus hands out in terms of production of hormones.
Okay.
So there's nothing there. It's just that why you have pain, it's because the blood is going away from the hands to go to protect your core so that the core temperature, your hands can go to 25 degree, but your core cannot go below 32 degree, 33 degree, and then you die. So you can live without hands and feet. You cannot live without your core body. So
Yeah.
that's what's going on. The body is very intelligent. So hands out, no problem. You also want to pay attention to if you do something but you don't like it because someone tells you it's good for you, you're not going to want to do it regularly. So for me, bringing a sense of pleasure and joy is very important. You need to enjoy it. If you enjoy something, you're more likely to want to do it again, and that thing is the most important. So yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, when you get in, you develop something called a thermal layer, like we have the same in a hot bath. So
Yeah, it's like a bubble.
it's easy. You call it the bubble. It's easier because all of a sudden it protects you from the cold. So
Mhm.
maybe the practice can be to have awareness of that, but then you can start bringing some movement and break that thermal layer consciously. Open your
Yeah.
legs, open
Yeah.
the and that will feel very edgy and also
Yes.
empowering. So
Yes.
there are so many things you can play with and many factors you can play with, but yeah, I would not edge too much with the hands. And in general,
Yeah.
there is not much benefits measured on doing more than 1 minute anyway. So the benefits that I describe is more from a mental focus and a mindfulness perspective than from a physiological perspective.
Okay. I like hearing that. I've
The
gotten to where
point
I can
is,
break the bubble, but man, when I put my hands in, I can't do it very long, and when I have them out, I can last a lot longer. Um,
it's all good. It's not.
there's even like the shoulder point where I can get I can get my shoulders under, but then if I start getting more of my neck under, it gets a lot colder.
Yeah. It's like in the shower. This is the tricky point. That's the point where if you're in the shower, ooh, that's where I feel the cold the most. So
Behind the
you
neck.
you you yeah, the neck. So you have many ways of going in about it. It's easier to go in one go straight, then you get the full shock, and the more the body is immersed, the
Mhm.
more message is sending to the brain that she wants to do that. So for instance, if you put a finger in the cold in the ice, you can't do it, but you can put your whole body and do it. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
that.
I have to
Um,
jump in. If I get my legs in and I just stand there for a second, I can't get my body in. I just have to
b- yeah,
do it
but there is some value about challenging that. Now it's mental work, so you can also go like for instance, if I have someone who has and anything related to the nervous system, epilepsy, which is usually a big no-no, any kind of condition where you're told not to do, Raynaud, all the conditions where you're told you cannot do it. I don't like that. For me,
Mhm.
I love everybody to do what they want, and I empower people to choose for themselves. I don't tell who cannot do it. That's my philosophy in life in general. But what you want is to stay in control of the reaction of the nervous system. So okay, if you have fear of having, a lot of people come to me and say, oh, I'm scared of having a heart attack, because of the stories that they've heard. Says, okay, then go slowly and just control your breath the whole time and make it a pleasant experience. I don't want you to go because you feel safe with me and you trust me, but you're not fully sure that you're not going to die. Fuck that. You don't want that. You just go
Mhm.
slowly, but feel the resistance. And that's another beautiful practice of mind over body. That's super
Mhm.
cool. So it's all
Mhm.
love and it's all fantastic.
So you're saying a minute is where it is beneficial.
It's beneficial if you can reach the point where you could stay longer and then you get out. That's the point. So it's not so much a specific time for everybody, but I encourage people to learn to downregulate, find peace, close their eyes, feel their organs, feel their heartbeat, slow down, then they come out. For some people, it's 30 seconds. For some people, it's 3 minutes. I think that's more important, to learn to change your relationship with stress, to educate yourself on that. I think that's the main benefit. So yeah, that's what I do. That's what I recommend. And
Okay.
every day
I
is
need to
different
pull
now.
my
All of a
timer.
sudden,
I need to
remove the
remove my
timer
timer.
for
Yeah.
everything in life. Anything that is around control, see how it feels when you remove it and you listen to, and you develop a connection with your intelligence of your body, and you trust your body, and you develop that trust. Because all, if you're trusting the timer, what you're saying to the body is, I don't trust you. And that's not a
Mhm.
nice, if you're with your partner and he says, I love you, but I want to check your phone, what's going on.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
you don't trust. And but basically that's what you're doing with your own body all the time. So
Mhm.
it's, for me, it's very much developing this idea that, yeah, I don't trust anyone else. I give you my full trust. And then you tell me. You do that, you're never going to get sick again. You're going to reduce pain sensitivity. Your diseases are going to disappear. Autoimmune diseases are going to disappear. I mean, literally, you cure yourself once you have developed this ability to listen to the intelligence of the body. It's, I mean, again, I've done it with so many people. This idea of trusting and listening to ourselves is something that is not shared enough.
Yes. Yes. Can you talk about why we want to do cold plunge in the morning and why we take hot baths in the evening and the myths around that?
Yeah. So the sleep hormone is melatonin,
Mhm.
and melatonin is produced when the body temperature drops. If you are sleeping with air conditioning, you sleep better than when the air conditioning is broken, or you're in a hot environment. You're hot and sweaty, you don't sleep well. It's very cold, you're under the blanket, you sleep very well. Okay, so the cooler the body, the more melatonin you produce. Now, how does the melatonin production works? We have two level of temperature control. We have the superficial and outer sensors, and then the inner sensor. So basically, we always want to be in homeostasis. We need to be, let's say, 37 degrees Celsius. That's where everything work fine. We're too cold, that's not working. We're too hot, that's not working. So the body is constantly adjusting the inner temperature according to outside sensors. So if it's cold, it's gonna heat up inside. If it's warm, it's gonna cool down inside. So if you take a hot bath in the evening, you're sending the signal to the body, oh, we're getting hot, we're getting hot. So it reduces your core temperature. It
Mhm.
cools down your core temperature. And maybe you've done a cold bath and you come out of the cold bath and you feel hotter. There is a surge of heat that
Yeah.
comes.
Yeah.
And, you know, what do you drink in Africa, in the desert in Morocco? Hot tea to cool down. Where do you eat spicy food? In Asia, where it's hot. In Africa, you don't eat spicy food in Belgium.
Mhm.
So somehow, if I eat spicy, it's going to cool down by response. It's going to cool down my body. So somehow we know, and we've done it, but we don't know why. So that's why people are mistaken when they think, oh, it's hot, let's have an ice cream
Yeah.
and I'm going to
Yeah.
cool down. Or let's
So
drink a,
cold
yeah.
yeah. So
So if
cold
you,
plunge in the morning and sauna in the evening.
yeah. And that's what we do naturally. You're not going to have naturally, instinctively, you're not having a hot bath in the morning. You're having a hot bath in the evening. So we know it intuitively. We do it. You're not going to the sauna in the morning. You do it in the evening. So, go back to the fundamentals of listening to the body, and we do things in a natural way. When you do the ice bath in the morning, you also set your circadian rhythm, because the body temperature is following this circadian rhythm. And by lowering in the morning, you are preparing it and setting it. So it's also my anti-jet lag process. So as soon as I arrive in a new destination, I reset my circadian rhythm through fasting and through ice baths. So it's the best way to beat the jet lag.
How long do you fast?
I can fast, girl. I can fast. So now
That's
the
easy.
science is pretty clear on that. It's amazing if you can fast 24 hours every week
Mm,
and then 3 days per month, and then a long fast, so 5, 6 days every 6 months.
mm,
You know?
okay.
And it's, I tell you why it's amazing to fast. And I'm not a fasting expert, but what I really believe is that when you train at something, then you become good at it. And there are plenty of studies that show the benefits of fasting and breath holds. We can talk about the breath when it comes to cleansing the body, when it comes to autophagy, when it comes to getting rid of bad cells in the body when there is no oxygen or there is no fuel to it. But the problem is, if you have not trained at fasting, and someone tells you you have cancer, but you can get rid of the cancer, but you just have to stop eating for 30 days, and plenty of studies support that. Most people that says, no, give me the chemicals. I can't skip a meal. Are you joking? How can I? So if you want to be able to fast for 30 days to save your life, well, you need to practice it. So
Hmm.
it's yes, it's good for the body. Yes, it's super healthy. It brings clarity. For me, I use it as, when I'm in mental fogness, when I don't feel clear, or again when I travel, to reset myself. But I also prepare myself in the eventuality that I need it. And every time I feel I'm getting sick, boom, goodbye everybody. I'm doing my thing, and within a day or two, I'm back up.
Yeah, let's talk about the breath. You are a proponent of box breathing in the ice bath. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about the ice, but my expertise is mainly breath work. I
Hmm.
teach breath work, and I help people. I help athletes, and I also help people release repressed and suppressed emotions. I love box breathing after I've released and screamed, because box breathing, which is basically an inhale, a hold, an exhale, a hold, and each side has the same length. So initially it's maybe 2 seconds because you're hyperventilating, and then 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and you prolong. Because when you control your breath, you bring your awareness to something else than your misery. So you distract yourself.
Yeah.
It's complicated, so you really need to focus. Again, it's that idea of distraction. But also, when you are going into the ice, you have a sympathetic trigger, which is manifested with inhales through the mouth. Yeah, that's what we do when we're in kind of danger. So,
Yes.
and the down regulation comes from focusing on the exhale and nose breathing. So if you can transition from fully inhaling and stuck on inhaling by the
Hmm.
mouth to progressively through the box breathing, coming to the point where you focus on the exhale. Remember, we're here to let go and surrender. So that's exhale, and
Yeah.
through the nose and soften. It's amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful practice.
I mean, it does keep your mind off of holy hell, it's so cold, I need to get out, where you can
Yeah,
just focus on counting.
yeah.
Yeah. I think
So
you said in your training that it that we should try when we're exercising to breathe through our nose. And I was at the gym on the stair climber trying that for, 10 seconds before I thought I was gonna die. Then I was like, there's no way. There's no way I could go up all these stairs and breathe through my nose.
well, that is also well studied. So it's called building your CO2 tolerance.
Hmm.
So what's going on? Why we breathe? We don't breathe to get oxygen. That's a myth. We breathe to get rid of CO2 primarily. You have plenty of, if you have an oximeter and you do a breath hold, you will realize that your oxygen doesn't change. The saturation of the oxygen doesn't change. What changes dramatically very fast is your CO2 level, and that's what you're regulating. Now, CO2, there's going to be just a few seconds of technique. We inhale, we get oxygen. We exhale, we get rid of CO2. Yeah, that's the waste gas. What is the role of CO2 in the system? When you get oxygen in our little alveoli, then the oxygen goes through the bloodstream to feed the organs, the skin, the brain, the muscles. But how does it get out of the bloodstream and enter the organ, the muscle, the skin? That's the role of CO2. CO2 binds the oxygen and get it out of the bloodstream to put it into the organ. So the more CO2 you have in your body, the better oxygenated your body is. So if you're at the gym, if you are not releasing too much CO2, means your muscles will be better oxygenated. What it means, you will recuperate faster. So if you're having a hard workout and your muscle aches the next day, that could be because you didn't have CO2, so the muscles are not oxygenated and hydrated enough. Those are the two elements. So by optimizing oxygenation and hydration, by the way, there are 42% difference in hydration between nose and mouth. So when you breathe through the mouth, you dehydrate 42% more. So you also should tape your sleep. And that's all. This is out there. You can really ChatGPT it, or you put it on YouTube, and you will really see the benefits. But from a sport perspective, if let's say I'm weightlifting, which you can see I'm never doing. So if you are doing, that's what people would do because they always lift heavier, heavier, heavier. If what you do, you are constantly trying to push the ceiling. But if now I'm breathing through my nose, my heart rate has a cap, it's not going to go as high. I obviously will not be able to lift as heavy, or you cannot run as fast on your treadmill or your stairs. But then you slow down, you reduce the weight. What you are doing, you are improving your baseline, you're lifting the floor. And now what's happening if I lift the floor? My ceiling is moving with me. So here is a fitness protocol for you and for everyone listening. Try it, and then you can say the difference. 4 times you go to the gym. 3 times, put a tape on your mouth. Don't just breathe through the nose. Literally put a tape, because if you have a tape, you don't have a mouth anymore. You don't have the option. It's hard if you have to have the option.
Nobody's going to look at me funny at all.
Then you can recommend your podcast. It's a great way to do some marketing.
I'll put a sticker with my podcast name on it.
I mark my words, in a few years, all the gyms are going to have tapes at the counter. It's going to be, you have protein powder and you're going to have a tape. Look it up. It's out there. All the athletes now, all the champions, they work on their CO2 tolerance. Where do football players go before the World Cup? They ought to go to the mountains. They go in altitude.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that. Why? Because the air, their different partial pressure, it's harder to breathe. So it's a workout for your lungs, and then you adapt. The idea with CO2 tolerance is to learn to do more with less. Your body's going to adapt, but also you're going to be experiencing a stressor. Now, back to my protocol. You go 3 times with the nose to the gym, and the last one, the fourth one, you give yourself permission to breathe through the mouth. Why? Because all of a sudden you're going to see that you can be way faster, that you can lift heavier, that you can run longer without being tired. So you will harvest the benefits. And then it's worth it, because the 3 ones are going to be challenging. It's not going to be as fun, but it's going to pay off on the 4th one.
But I'm going to have to lower the pace of my stairs for those 3. Otherwise, there's
lower your heart rate, lower, but your benefits are, you will get more benefits.
Yeah. Okay.
Your resilience, your strength, you will feel better. You will, your muscles again will have better oxygenation. So they will, whatever you do, even if you want to go hypertrophy, your muscles will grow more if you do that than if you lift heavier. So it's a game changer in fitness. It's a game changer. And again, like, look it up. It's something that is, I'm just, putting together things that are out there. I'm not making up anything. Yeah. It's amazing.
I'm going to try that. I might not exactly put the tape on my mouth, but I'll be diligent about keeping my mouth shut.
Give it a try.
Yeah. I mean, there are those studies about taping the mouth shut. I've done that before, taping the mouth shut, and then I've woken up and the tape was still there. And just making sure that I'm not mouth breathing at night, because I think that really disrupts our sleep.
It's crazy what it does. Look it up. James Nestor wrote a great book, Breath, and there are tons of content now on that. But you produce nitric oxide, which is a vasodilatator. Your nose is blocking bacteria, viruses, dust, and if you're sleeping in air conditioning, it's just bad air. If you're in a plane, it's just bad air. So you need to have the right filtration system. The mouth doesn't do that. if you're in a cold environment and you breathe through the mouth, you're going to get sick because the nose is regulating the temperature to the body temperature. You don't have a regulation of the temperature through the mouth. So like, literally, I could go on forever on the benefits of nose breathing when it comes to better health. You know, the yogis, they've said long time ago that you're born with a set number of breath. So breathing through the nose and breathing less and breathing light is probably the main factor of longevity. But also, you mentioned sleep. You remember your dreams. If you have an Oura ring, which I had for years, you can measure that you have higher NREM and REM sleep. You will not get up to pee as much. So anyone who's struggling with that, because nose is more parasympathetic and mouth is sympathetic. So your baseline will be more relaxed. I mean, woo! And all you
Yeah.
do is put a tape on your mouth.
Yeah.
You cure snoring, sleep apnea, asthma. Oh,
Yeah. I'm gonna have to try
it's
that again.
it's free,
Make
and
sure
it's
I'm still
free.
doing it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mentioned when I go in the ice, I breathe through my mouth. Why? Because when you want to feel feelings, you do that through the mouth. When you dance, breathe through your mouth. When you make love, breathe through your mouth. Anytime you want to connect to your emotional body, that's mouth breathing. No, if you're at the funeral and you're not supposed to laugh,
Mhm.
you're going to suppress and breathe through the nose and suppress your mouth. So whenever you're in your emotional body, get out of the way, enjoy
Mhm.
those beautiful emotions. That's what makes you
Are you
human.
saying go in the plunge, make noise, move around, but then when you do the box breathing, do that with the mouth shut or
Yes.
open? Yes, shut.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to mouse. I want to feel. It's
Yeah.
about consciousness, about awareness.
Yeah.
And then you want to down regulate. You want to, it's not going to be immediate because at the beginning it's going to be hard to switch to the nose, but you want to transition to the nose. Yes, because you want to down
Yeah.
regulate.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. I feel like we
and
could
and
do
we could go on forever,
we could
and literally we haven't talked about community and circling and healing, what healing is. And like there's so many amazing things that we can do as humans when we tap into our authentic self and we stop believing what is said everywhere and we tune into our inner pharmacy and intelligence. So yeah.
mm, yeah, and that's definitely clear in your message is just kind of tap in, figure it out for yourself, do what's right for yourself. Yeah. Well, Alex, how can people reach you and tell us about your trainings and all the offerings and if people want to go to beautiful Bali to come see you?
Thank you. I have a complete offering now. I'm very happy about it. It was a long work, but I'm very proud of it. I have many things. I have a self-paced online course, very affordable, 11-week for people to understand the breath. And also there is some around ice baths. There's one episode on ice baths. And every week I guide you through understanding some concepts and then we practice together. And it's beautiful production, so you can enjoy that. I have a very cheap one, short one, 5 weeks on stress, also self-paced online. I have a 9 months container for people who want to change their life, but also become facilitator. And we do this online for 9 months. Part is pre-recorded. Again, very proud of the production, and it's long time waiting. And then I also have in-person trainings in India and in Bali. So I do this regularly. I lived in India and I love India, and yeah,
Mm.
that's
Where in India?
in New Delhi.
Okay. Right on.
So New Delhi, I'm going to be there next month, and then in 2 months, I do these 3 weeks in Bali 4 times a year, in India twice a year, and this 9 months container we start regularly. And yeah, I mean, it will change your life because we all live with masks and armors and protections, and we tell ourselves stories about, oh, I need to be this and this is me, and we define ourselves and we build a personality. But deep down, we are craving for something way more simple, way more truthful. And this is very much a container to go back to that. It's very much a self-love journey. And at the same time, I think it's the best job in the world when you can guide people to do that for themselves and reconnect. So this is
Mm-hmm.
the offering. So it's called breathingcoldbali.com and
Okay.
breathing_cold on Instagram.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. I feel like I need to have you back at a later date so we can chat more, but I really appreciate you coming to talk with me today.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for you as well. Thank you so much for trusting. And I lost my Instagram, so I'm not big on social media. So I appreciate with a small account that you trusted me. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you for listening to the Connected Community Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and subscribe. I can be found at www.nickyyoga.com, NICKYYYOGA.com. Until I see you again next week, I hope you have a beautiful day.